What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to True Raider Podcast, coming to you with the TGI Raiders Friday Live. Now, my setup's a little bit weird today, guys. I'm at my mother-in-law's house, so things are a little bit weird for me. I'm trying to adjust, trying to get set up. I hope that my Wi-Fi is hitting okay. Oh, there's the comments. I couldn't find the comments for a second, man. I thought I was wigging out. But yeah, man, welcome, guys. I'm glad you're here. We only got a few in the building right now, and that's all right. We got Chris for Raiders. What's up, man? Glad you made it. JB, first time seeing you in the chat. Salute, man. Glad you made it. This isn't my normal scheduled time. I got sidetracked, man. I got a lot going on with family stuff, and it didn't fit for me to do the normal time. And so I tried to fit it in, and then I scheduled it, and all of a sudden, my wife hits me up and she's like, "Hey, my mother-in-law is cooking me dinner her mom, right, is cooking her dinner for her birthday." And she's like, it's at the, right about the time that you were going to go live. And so we went ahead and make a compromise. I brought the equipment and set up over here at her house. We'll see how this goes, man. You guys let me know if I start freezing up or anything like that. She usually has pretty good Wi-Fi, but, I'm not really used to it. Chris, I understand. Just keep doing Fridays. Raider Nation will show up. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to go for like a middle of the day kind of spot, just because I know for me, I love to listen to different channels when I'm at work, especially Raider related content. And so to hit the after work crowd, I know it's a little bit harder, right? It's Friday. People are going home. People got things to do. People are getting with their families and stuff like that, but I definitely didn't want to skip this week. I definitely want to go ahead and jump on, before we get started. I want to hold a moment of silence real quick, man, for Jim Otto, man. R.I.P. Jim Otto. I know it happened several days ago. I haven't been on since then. So let's hold a quick moment of silence for the original Raider. All right, rest in paradise, Jim Otto, man. So, I want to jump in because, we got this news, right, that came out. Let me pull it up real quick. With Mad Max Crosby, right? Max Crosby. Raiders have, per Adam Schefter, Raiders reworked the contract of three-time Pro Bowl defensive end Max Crosby to give him a $6 million raise for the upcoming season, per league sources. The team also moved an additional $1.2 million into 2025. The Raiders wanted to reward their leader, culture setter, and one of the best players in the league with the intent of keeping him in Las Vegas for years to come. No new years were added to Crosby's deal, meaning the 26-year-old still has 3 years left on his current contract. And I think that this is kind of like it's an interesting point right now, right? Because, RIP 00. Max Crosby, he's amazing, right? And we love him. And sometimes it seems like the league doesn't value him as much as Raider Nation values him. And that's okay, because they don't have to value him how we value him. But we're in a position right now where, Joey Bosa is making $10 million a year more than Max Crosby, which I think is just insane. There's no way that I consider Joey Bosa to be a better player, a better culture setter, a better leader, and better able to stay on the field. I mean, it's ridiculous. Not even just counting the amount of snaps that Crosby actually plays, way more than anybody else in the league, but actually being able to remain healthy and be on the field. Hondo Carpenter always says it, man. Your best ability is your availability, right? If you're not available on the field, it doesn't matter how good you are, because you're not playing snaps. He deserves it. Max is staying and retiring in Vegas. And there's no doubt in my mind that Max Crosby is going to retire a Raider. I honestly think that he'll go ahead and play his whole career here, which I love that. I love that so much. And I think that this is just a quick little incentive, moving some things around, moving the numbers. But really, I think that here in the next year or two, even though he has 3 years left, I think that we're going to end up extending Max Crosby, because if we don't, then we're going to be in a position where he's going to be making a significant amount less than players that he is better than. And we can't have that. We gotta go right by Max Crosby. I mean, he's had these guys, and they're doing it too, right? But that Max Crosby is the leader in the locker room. He's the tone setter. He's the guy that's really helping to build this culture with AP, and he's really that guy, right? And so they're in there and they're working out when they don't even have to be there. Got plenty of players there with them. And I really think he's setting the tone for that. And, that deserves a payday, man. It does. My 2 cents. Salute, man. Welcome to the building. Let's see. That is AP and Telesco with Mark saying thank you. Yeah, man. I mean, definitely, giving out a thanks. And I think that, they really just need to go right by Crosby, because I don't see Crosby, unless he takes a significant injury, I don't see him really being a player that we have any kind of desire to move on from anytime soon. So, we'll see how that ends up looking out. Another thing I wanted to bring up is Thayer Mumford, right? We're talking about offensive line. Vincent Bosignor tweeted out that there's no question Raiders offensive lineman Thayer Mumford really played well when he started at left tackle last year, but he also graded out well in his 263 snaps at right tackle. He seems ready to lift off as the full-time starter. And right now we're in a position where, Colton Miller hasn't been at OTAs. He's still battling with the shoulder injury, which that was one of the things I was talking about in the offseason when, we were all dreaming about a quarterback. And, I was saying, well, maybe we should throw Colton Miller into a trade because he has a lot of trade value. And I don't know how he's going to bounce back from this injury. It seems like he's still nursing that injury. He's recovering from it. And, I think that's one of the reasons why they brought on Andres Pete, because even though he did play some left tackle, he is mostly left guard. But, just being able to have some options in the tackle room. We got DJ Glaze, but I don't see him getting starting reps this season at all, unless we really have some guys go down. So really it looks like Thayer Mumford's going to be that guy on the right side. And then, it came out today that Dylan Parham is going to be the right guard. And that was like a weird move. I think it's a good time to make the move because Dylan Parham in college, he was a right guard. When he came to the Raiders, he was originally a right guard. Andre James got injured. He ended up playing some center. He ended up on left guard. He bounced around the line and, kind of landed in that left guard position. Now, it's hard to bounce somebody around on the line like that. And that's one of the reasons why they brought in Parham to begin with, is that he's versatile. But I think that, now that they're changing scheme, it's just kind of a good opportunity that if you are going to move somebody, move them during the change of a scheme. That way, he's learning the new plays and all that shit. Excuse my language, at the right time, instead of trying to, be on the same scheme, but jump to the other side. I think that would be a little bit different. So we'll see how that goes. That tells me that they're going to put Jackson Powers Johnson at left guard, and I'm hoping that Colton Miller is going to go ahead and get healthy by the time the season hits. I think he will, but we definitely need him over there on that left side. What I would hate to see is Colton Miller just kind of, stop showing up nearly to the capacity that he has because of this injury, and then get to a spot where, he has no trade value, and also he's not being on the field for us. And then we're just in this spot where, we have a really good backup in Colton Miller, because it could turn to that, Let's see. Don't forget all the off-field shit Crosby takes on to enrich the team and other personnel. And that's right, man. Crosby really, really just shows up with that energy, and he brings that energy into the building. AP brings that energy into the building. And you don't always have a lot of guys like that, especially in the shoes of Max Crosby. He could be one of those guys that's taking the diva route and saying, I'm a veteran. I don't have to. I don't have to show up to OTAs. If I don't have to be in the building, then I'm not going to be. But that's not how he takes it. He really, really just shows up all the time, and I love that. Ernest, welcome to the building, man. Glad you made it. Let's see. I got a LOL idea I shared with other programs. Let's put 00 on every player's helmet above the face masks, so the auto inspiration is in every game. We don't retire numbers. Let's do it. Man, that's That would be awesome, man. I would love to see that. Really paying respects to Otto. Um, yeah, I agree with that. That would be awesome. See, Mumford, I think, did better than Illuminor, less flags. Illuminor, even though, like, there's a couple other content creators that have really just said that Illuminor did really good and, they really liked him. There were so many games where just like he'd get these boneheaded penalties at really awful times, and it was really frustrating. Um, Having him in a lot of the time, and then there was other situations like that game against the Chargers where Aiden O'Connell got his first start when we still had Josh McDaniels, and he let and Khalil Mack, he's a beast, right? But he let Khalil Mack sack Aiden O'Connell 6 times. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, I couldn't believe they didn't pull him. They should have pulled him and said, look, man, you're not being able to stop him. Let's see if somebody else can, and so, like, there's this whole controversy that came up too where, I guess Illuminor said that the Raiders never gave him an offer, but the Raiders are saying that they did give him an offer. So, I mean, I don't really know exactly what truly happened there. All I know is that Mumford really showed up when he took snaps for Colton Miller. In the games that Mumford has played in, I've really liked what I've seen. I haven't seen any bad penalties or any weird things like that. And so, I'm actually pretty happy with where our offensive line is right now. And I really hope that everybody's going to be healthy and able to play, come September, man. Let's see how this goes. Yes, Crosby plays for the Shield. And that's the thing, man, is that, the Shield above anything else. My 2 cents thinks Ernest's idea is fire. And I agree. That's a great idea, Ernest. I love it. We got to represent. See, Illuminor was a McDummy, man. Thinking Josh had him not to block in the first SD game. I think you mean like San Diego. So the Chargers, because like, I don't know, man. It almost seemed like Josh McDaniels really just had this weird thing with Aiden O'Connell where it's like, even though he drafted him, it's like he didn't want him to play, and he was like laughing in press conferences, like, oh yeah, it's not preseason, and like just making these weird comments that just like, I don't know, man. Why are you going to throw your rookie under the bus like that? It's like, if he's not ready, he's not ready, right? But don't make these awful comments like that and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if it came out and they're like, yeah, Josh McDaniels actually asked Illuminor to let him get hit for whatever reason. Josh McDaniels thought it would be a good idea. Maybe that he'd learned something from it, or maybe, didn't want him to take over the starting role right away because he didn't like how he implemented his offense or whatever. Like, there's a lot of things, man, with that Josh McDaniels thing that it just is ugly work, man. And I think that that's a good opportunity to talk about the whole thing with Michael Mayer, because like in Michael Mayer's press conference, he was talking about, he didn't say Josh McDaniels, but he was really just talking about like how, like, there was days he didn't even want to be in the building. I mean, basically what I heard was he was saying that he hated playing during that time, and then when AP took over, it was like all of a sudden he really started catching his groove. And he said that the new offense with Luke Getsy, he likes it much better. It's much easier to learn. It's not so complicated. How does Wasted say it? Paralysis by analysis. Like, I mean, that's just, it is what it is, man. Like, if you can overcomplicate something, I really believe in keep it simple and not so simple that, everybody knows what you're doing, right? But like, if your players don't understand what their assignment is, it's not going to go well. You really need your players to understand what exactly their assignment is, what the goal is, what everybody else, like, if you don't have that across the board, you don't have that continuity and people are confused, then you have Hunter Renfrow and Devontae Adams crossing routes and running into each other and stuff like that, and so I think that's nasty, man. So it's good to see, like, Michael Mayer talking about like how he really just didn't have that motivation, but he was able to shake it off, and he's coming in with this like way better mindset, and I really think that it's gonna be a good thing, man. It's gonna be a good thing to see Michael Mayer actually showing up and showing out his potential, because he is a good tight end, right? And then the addition of Brock Bowers, I really think running that 12 personnel, like we're going to be in a position where I don't know how to stop that, right? Like when I look at the tight ends across the league, like let's say if the Kansas City Chiefs had two tight ends that were, let's say it's Travis Kelce and whoever, Michael Mayer or Brock Bowers. Let's say they got Brock Bowers, right, and put him next to Travis Kelce. I'd be like freaked out, right? Oh man, they're singing my wife happy birthday, man, and I'm not there. Oh man, all right. They already know what time it is. They're really supportive, man. Um, we'll see how this goes. Or like if the Chargers, right? If the Chargers picked up both Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers, I'd be thinking, man, that's going to be a rough matchup to go against. Ernest, a lot of other shows want to petition 00 to be retired. True Al Davis way should be kept in place. No retirements. Once a Raider, always a Raider for life. I've always thought that it was like interesting that we don't retire ending numbers. But it's really, I think part of that is it's really hard to choose, right? It's like hard to say like this person gets their number, but this person doesn't, because we have some really, really great players that have played for the Raiders. And if we retired all of their numbers, we'd start getting in this position where we're running out of available numbers, and then that's pretty problematic, And so I like the idea, of not retiring numbers, although, anytime that somebody wears a 24 or, like an 81, like I start being like, man, like, come on, dude. Like, I wouldn't want to be wearing Woodson's number. Like, no way, man. That's like wearing Jordan's number, man, which, hey, and I don't want to get into a whole basketball thing, man, but, when somebody wants to claim that they're the GOAT over MJ, but they wear MJ's number, like, nah, you want to be like Mike. Yeah. Let's see, Josh getting pressure from the nation, so he had to prove a point. I mean, maybe, man, there was a lot of pressure for Aiden O'Connell to go in. We knew Jimmy Garoppolo was not going to be that guy. Jimmy Garoppolo, it was very clear. Like there's a little bit of hope of like, okay, maybe, he's won some good games. He has a winning record. He's not the great QB, but maybe the system will be a good fit. Maybe he'll just implement it properly and it'll work out. But it was like, I mean, even after that Denver game when he won, week 1, is like I already knew like this isn't the guy. And then to put Brian Hoyer to start over Aiden O'Connell, like what? Doesn't make sense. Like in that position, it was like, okay, even if you don't think that Aiden O'Connell's ready, you don't want to shake a rookie to where their confidence gets all messed up and things like that, but you want him to get reps, right? If you're going to develop this guy into a player that you're going to keep on your team, why wouldn't you give him the reps? Why are you going to give it to Brian Hoyer, who has no future in the NFL? Like, I'd be amazed if he ends up signing with another team at this point. So why are you gonna waste that time on somebody that is not gonna win the game for you and isn't gonna be your QB of the future? It doesn't make sense to me. See, Jason Downs, NFL won't allow deals on front of helmet, only allowed 1-inch decals on the back of the helmet. Oh, there's some facts. There's some facts for us, Well, maybe there's somewhere else where they can put it, man. Yeah, Mayer was talking about hating to go to practice, and he wasn't committed, and I really think like, I saw some frustration in him that I think, and I could be wrong, right? But what I got out of it in that presser was that he's like, he sees the challenge of Brock Bowers, right? He knows he didn't show up with his 100% in year 1. Brock Bowers came on, and it could be easy for it's like, look, Michael Mayer's just not performing. We're going to end up moving on, right? I think that he wants to solidify his position on this roster, and I think that he's going to really go out there and battle. Even though they're going to be tandem in this great team together, he still wants to go and show out and show that not only can he keep up, but I think that he's going to be in competition to see what's going on, man, Salute. Egalitarian, is that how you say it? If that's wrong, just write wrong in the comments. Egalitarian is what I read. I don't want to be mispronouncing anything, we know where Mayer was coming from. Wasn't sold on McDaniels, but didn't think he'd be so toxic for a team. Now we know, and they called him Baby Gronk and all these things. And so, like, it must have been exciting. Like, oh, yeah, now I'm going to go under McDaniels where Gronk played and, all these things. And then, just to, like, not have that, like, what's the word for it? That juice, right? That just to be animated to show up and to the best of his ability, it just shows, like, how just awful that locker room must have been, and Davante Adams tries to clean it up, and Max Crosby does the PC thing, but like really it was very clear that people were not happy in that locker room under Josh McDaniels. It was very, very clear. Let's see. Ernest, I'm a real old timer. I was a 93 petition person, met with Otto numerous times as a Raider ambassador. That's awesome, man. That's so cool to have that experience. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is a different one, Jason. NFL won't allow decals on the front of the helmet. Has to be on the back, only 1 inch size. We can get patches for jerseys approved. That would be awesome too, man. That would be awesome. Putting a 00 up on the chest. I like it. Let's see. Tyree Wilson, Ja'Quarian Bennett, Luke Masterson, Isaiah Paul-Mao, and Christopher Smith will have a huge year too. Tyree Wilson has the most to prove. And he's looking like healthy. He's man, in that presser, he looks nice and built. In the little clips that they've been sharing, I think it's I want to say it's Vegas Sports Today. I've been seeing a bunch of little clips, man, where, he's looking good, man. He's saying that his foot is healthy. He was talking about how, like, that foot injury that he just wasn't ready to be on the field, and I really think that he's been really working out with Max Crosby, and I think year 2 he's really gonna show up. It's gonna be a little tough because Malcolm Kuntz is really expected to have a big year, and there's a couple of names in camp that they've been really talking about that are doing an amazing job. One of them is Malcolm Kuntz. There's been some good talk about Tyree Wilson, Michael Mayer, of course, Brock Bowers, and then also Laube, man. Dylan Laube is getting a lot of good hype, and I'm really excited to see what that's going to end up looking like, because Dylan Laube, man, like okay, Zeus is a beast, right? He's a huge, huge beast of a running back. And I think that he's going to be that power back for us. He's going to get those first snaps. But Dylan Laube, I think, is going to have an opportunity to prove himself in the special teams. There's a lot of good talk about him coming out of camp. And I really think that he's going to end up being in a position where he might get snaps over Amir Abdullah. Honestly. And Amir Abdullah, he's good. I like that he's on our roster. But really, I mean, the tape that I've seen on Dylan Laube, and if that translates to the NFL, he's better than Abdullah. And honestly, Alexander Madison too, man. I mean, I think that Laube has a good opportunity to work himself into that receiving back role, the third down back, special teams. And I think that that's going to be his role year 1. But I really think that year 2, we're going to see a lot more out of Dylan Laube. I think that we're going to be in a position where, he's going to be getting a lot more play. And I don't think he's going to take over as running back 1. But, what they're saying right now is not only is he doing really good with his special team stuff and his pass catching stuff, but also, running down the middle, and that they're liking what they're seeing. So, I'm really excited for that one, man. Hey, that 00 isn't being used anymore. And that would be interesting if they decided to retire that, I wouldn't be against it. It might spark some controversy that, well, then let's retire Woodson. Let's retire the Snake. Let's retire, Marcus out, like, Bo Jackson. And it might start this frenzy, right? Nice. Computer wants to do an update in the middle of a live. I love that. My computer has great timing. All right. So yeah, I mean that could be weird. So in essence, the 00 is retired. I see that. I see you, Jason. Now do we hang it up in the stadium? I'm interested to see what's going to happen with all that. I like that video with Mark Davis, man, where they lit the torch. That was awesome, man. Hoyer's still out where, man? Where's Hoyer at? Where is Brian Hoyer? Brian Hoyer. I'm wondering about that, man. I'm going to give it a Google because I'm really, and even though it doesn't matter, man, I'm just kind of curious, where's Brian Hoyer? I don't know, man. This thing says that he's on the Patriots, so let me know if you guys find that where Brian Hoyer has landed. Yeah, I think that those jersey patches, that could be a good answer, and I think that that's something that, they can't fight against, and really they should do it. They should really do it. I agree. Let me see. Mayer was being dogged by Josh McDaniels. That was a Ziegler pick. Mayer is legit. Josh McDaniels held him back. That could be it. It'd be a little weird to me if Josh McDaniels, didn't want to take advantage of having a good tight end because historically he's ran the 2 tight end sets. He's used the tight end position in a lot of his offense. And so, like, for him to just dog him out is kind of weird to me. It could be that his style just wasn't vibing with him. Like there's this thing that my dad did when I was a kid, man, where, he used to call me an F up a lot, right? And he'd say, "You're effing up." And when as an adult, I found out that what he was trying to do was that he saw the most potential in me out of all of his kids, is what he told me, right? And that he was doing that to try to motivate me to go even further, which it did the opposite. It told me it doesn't matter what I do, it's not good enough. So I don't know. Maybe Josh McDaniel's style felt like that to Mayer. I can't really speak on it because I don't really know. Let's see, man. Excited to see my 2 cents. Excited to see Mayer at beginning of offseason said Tucker and Mayer step up in their sophomore seasons. Standing by that. Let's effing go. My 2 cents. I like that. Aiden O'Connell said that during the offseason that they're not allowed to use a ball in the building. So him and Trey Tucker have been out in parks and stuff, and they're building that chemistry even further. I did see a lot of the time that Aiden O'Connell kind of looked like he was getting in trouble and didn't know where to go. He'd go to Trey Tucker because they have that timing, and I really think that the fact that they've been building on that is really, really good. And I hope that Mayer and Aiden O'Connell can click, honestly. And let's go ahead and talk about quarterbacks, right? Because I put that on the thumbnail, right? I put Farva and dang, I can't think of his name right now from Super Troopers, right? But that's our quarterback room right now, man. We got 2 guys from Super Troopers, and I really think that I'm gonna say what's up to James real quick. On break, stop by to yell Raiders. Oh, I forgot I'm not mother-in-law, so I might need to keep that down a little bit because they might come in here all hyphy. We got Steelers fans out there, Dolphins, Commanders, and Cowboys, so that's all their stuff over there. There's not a single Raiders fan on this side of the family. So, it's a little, there's some tension in this house, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I wanted to talk, let me get through some comments and then I'll bring up some quarterback stuff. Tyree Wilson finally gets a training camp. That's right. Last year, he didn't get a training camp. He was still injured. His foot, he really was supposed to be behind Chandler Jones, and they threw him out too early. They should have put out Malcolm Kuntz and let him heal properly before just throwing him out there, because I think his confidence really got shook, But it looks like he's seeming a lot more confident right now, and I hope that really translates onto the field. Furpo. Okay, I guess Jason knows James. All right, cool. What's up, man? I like that. Let me see. Let's see if Madison fumbles too much. Lauby will be in. Chris, I think you're right on that one. Madison has had some fumble issues, not extreme. I think I talked to some Vikings fans about it, right? Because I wanted to get to know, like, what is your perspective? And they were like, he's great, but those fumbles that he had were just really bad timing. It's kind of like the Hunter Renfro fumbles, where it's like, put him in position to lose and stuff. And so we'll see what that looks like. He seemed, I saw an interview with him where he just seemed really pumped up, really excited about, what's going on with the offensive line, with the running back room, with just this whole regime in general. And so I'm excited to see what that looks like, because we got some dogs right now in the running back room. If we're looking at Amir Abdullah maybe being on the bubble, like we got plenty of good guys in there, man. We're stacked in that department for sure. I would like to see an award in the name of Jim Otto, Raiders award only. Oh, the Jim Otto award. Huh. Jason, what would you want that to look like, man? Like, would that be something that's for like offensive linemen? Would that be just for the dog? Like Max Crosby could win that award or something like that. Whoever's just being a dog, being a Raider. Let me know what you think, man. See, Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer will thrive in this offense. They might even be the heart and soul of this offense. And it's funny because I saw a lot of people on social media flipping out because, okay, for one, we didn't get a quarterback. That sucked, right? But then people were yelling, we need defense, pull a defense. And it was like, why? Like, our defense is amazing, right? And I would love to stack even further onto that defense. But our offense was really what was lacking last year. So they came in, and they pulled in Brock Bowers, which might be like the steal of the draft, right? To get him at 13, I mean, he's a dynamic offensive weapon that is going to make things a whole lot different no matter who the quarterback is, right? And then we get Jackson Powers Johnson and DJ Glaze. We're stacking the offensive line more, getting some depth, getting some power, getting some skill, and so it's like really putting our offense in the position the first 3 rounds to where they can succeed, because our defense is going to succeed, right? But if our offense cannot succeed, if they're not putting up points, if they're not scoring in the red zone, if they're not holding onto the ball and draining the clock a little bit to give the defense a little bit of time to rest, then it's not going to work out. It's gonna look nasty, man. See, Ernest, love the content today. AP is designing a team with some of McDing's guys and restocking his kind of players. We're in for a real surprise future dynasty. I can't remember ever being so excited for a Raiders season as this one, even without adding to the quarterback room. I mean, Aiden O'Connell's, he's slimmed up. If you guys have not seen, he was on Max Crosby's podcast, the Rush podcast. Go check that out. The thing that really got me was his confidence, right? The confidence that Aiden O'Connell had throughout that whole thing. It seems like it's really going up. Like, it didn't sound to me like somebody who thinks that he's at risk of losing his job, and he didn't come in all cocky or anything weird, right? He's a very humble dude. But really what I heard throughout that whole podcast was it. I think that he knows where he's at right now. And he's faced worse battles throughout his whole high school, college, coming into the NFL. I don't think that he's concerned about Gardner Minshew, and then there's some clips that have been going out about the quarterbacks, throwing and stuff in OTAs. And like the clips I've seen, Aiden O'Connell is nailing his throws, and Minshew, he's doing all right, but it didn't look like he was doing as good. And then, our other quarterbacks, honestly, I don't even think that they stand a chance to get into a number 2 spot. I think that Aiden O'Connell is going to be QB1. Gardner Minshew is going to be QB2. And I'm not a huge Aiden O'Connell guy, right? But I definitely want to see what we have in him. There's a lot of stat comparisons I've been seeing. which, stats are just stats, right? But like Raider D was talking about the Peyton Manning thing, and Peyton Manning throwing like a ridiculous amount of interceptions in his rookie year and then going on to be the quarterback that he was, and then there's one I saw. Let me see. I saved it in my phone. O'Connell 2023 against Josh Allen in 2018 rookie season stat comparisons. Aiden O'Connell, 11 games played, 2,200 yards, 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Josh Allen, 12 games played, 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Moral of the story, don't judge a QB without a full season under their belt. So, like, Josh Allen really didn't start out strong. He developed and he really turned into the quarterback that he is today. If we got breaking news, Raiders sign Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, like, I'd be pumped. I'd be super pumped about that, right? So, I'm not saying that Aiden O'Connell is Josh Allen. They play very different. What I'm saying is that that jump from year 1 to year 2, you can really, really see a lot of things in that. And so if Aiden O'Connell goes out there and he shits the bed, okay, well, now we know. Now we know that we definitely got to get a quarterback. But if he goes out there and he's playing better than he was in those last, ever since AP took over, if he plays at a higher level than that and he's progressing in the right direction, I'd like to see what he could really bring to this team, man. James break over. Salute, man. Glad you jumped in. Let's see. I can see Patrick Graham putting Isaiah Paul-Mao in the box for certain blitz packages. Isaiah Paul-Mao is definitely a player that I'm excited that we're keeping on a roster. I really hope that he makes the 53-man roster again this year. He's definitely somebody that I want to see develop and grow in this team. Bringing on Trey Taylor, it kind of tells me that I don't think that we're going to end up keeping Marcus Epps once his contract is up. I have a feeling that they're going to go ahead and let him move on, which, I like Marcus Epps and I really think he's been a great addition, but I have a feeling that we're going to go ahead and keep Merrick and, Paul Mao, Trey Taylor. We got Chris Smith still. There's a lot of these guys in the safety room where we don't necessarily have to keep, Marcus Epps, who's a veteran, who's getting a little bit older than these guys. He's still pretty young. He's still got a lot of good game in him, but I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. Jason, it was because he was struggling in run block. Mayer versus Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels slipped in a presser. Okay. I don't know if I saw that presser or maybe I just don't remember it. But yeah, I mean, that was a big part of like Gronk's game is being able to run block. And, there was a lot of those things where it kind of seemed like Mayer wasn't showing up to the best of his ability. And I really hope that he's in a position where he can step his game up on that. He seemed pretty excited in that presser, honestly. See, okay, Chris, Brian Hoyer is on the Patriots now as a 4th QB. Okay, I thought maybe Google just was doing Google stuff and hadn't updated it. It's interesting that he went back there. And I understand the value of having him on a team, like for practice reasons and things like that, but there is no way he should have ever started a game for us. M85, what's up? What's going on? The only time the league wore a Raider is Gene Upshaw, I believe. Or was it just us? The league wore a Raider. Man, I'm missing that, man. Explain that to me, man. Maybe I'm missing something. See, if the Raiders O-line blocks well, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Zamir White, Trey Tucker, Devontae Adams, Michael Mayer, and Brock Bowers will make this offense explosive. And that's the big thing, right? The addition of Jackson Powers Johnson to this line, I think it's going to make a huge difference. Honestly, I think he'd be better off as center. But, if Andre James has somebody solid like a Jackson Powers Johnson right next to him on the left side, I think that he'll perform at a higher clip. And then moving Parham over to the right side. And then Thayer Mumford, I think, is better than Illuminor. Our offensive line is going to be better than it was last year, right? And then, if we have Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, if he's able to show up in the blocking game, I think that, yeah, man, we get some good blocks in there. I think Aiden O'Connell is going to be a little bit quicker. He was talking about it took him a little bit to get up to speed, but I think he's up to speed, and I think that he's going to do well in that. Yeah. Ernest, check this out. Colton, JPJ, and Bowers on the left, with Mayer shifting left from right as a blocker for either Zeus or Lauby, running behind this group. Yeah. I'm saying, you guys are saying the same thing that I'm saying. I think we're on the same page with this, is that like these guys are going to be able to perform at a way higher level than what we saw last year. There was a lot of things that were, Greg Van Roten was really not that guy for the offensive line at all at right tackle. I mean, at right guard. We had our tight ends, Mayer wasn't being able to block properly, and then the addition of Brock Bowers just being that threat of not knowing if it's going to him or where it's going. You think that we're going to have a run, and then all of a sudden you're throwing to Bowers in the backfield. There's a lot of things that are going to look different for us. I'm really getting excited about it. Okay, Chris, Hoyer's still a free agent. Okay, that's what I thought, man. I think Google's doing weird Google stuff because it didn't even update. Like if it said he was still a Raider, it would make more sense. But for it to say he's still a Patriot, it's like get it together, Google. You need to catch up. Falling way behind, just like how I am in this chat. Let's see. Dylan Parham moving to right guard is a good move. Plays more natural at that position on the offensive line. I agree with you. I think that, especially once he kind of settles in and gets used to being on the right side again, I think that we're going to see him perform at a higher level. I saw this breakdown where they were comparing him to other left guards, and that actually he scored really good in comparison to other left guards in the league. But I still felt like compared to other people on our offensive line, his numbers looked pretty low, right? And I'm hoping that moving him over to the right side is going to put him in a better position to succeed. And if he really shows up the way I think that he's going to, man, this line is going to be insane. Yeah, Alexander Madison can also do damage if this O-line blocks well. He does good in the passing game. He does good in the running game. I saw some good tape on him where, they did show some of his bad points, which I always love that in tape breakdowns, but they showed a lot of good things that he has going for him. He's very elusive, very shifty. I saw him cutting through a lot of holes that I wasn't expecting, and all of a sudden he changed direction and cut through, and I saw some really good movement on him, and he's actually a pretty large dude. I actually don't know exactly his measurements, right? But he's a pretty large dude, so he's not no tiny running back. Yeah, he is big and fast, definitely. Okay, Upshaw worked for the NFL after he retired. Okay, that's what that was about. Okay. Let's see. Ziegler did draft a couple of good players, and I think that now going into this season is when we're really gonna see, what comes out in the wash, right? Who's gonna be able to stay from that regime? I think that there's gonna be a handful of players that really never do anything for us that were drafted by them, but I think that there's gonna be those players that step it up because they know, hey, this is a new regime. We need to fucking step it up, or else we're gonna get cut, man. And then you don't get a second contract in the NFL, and a lot of players struggle to get with another team. Let's see. Yes, Chris. AOC 12 sounds confident, cool, and calm. Definitely did not seem like somebody that's worried about losing their job. He also didn't seem like he was kind of punking out, just kind of stepping down, oh, well, I'm gonna be the backup now. I didn't see any of that. What I saw in that podcast was somebody who believes he's gonna be the starter. Yeah, AOC battled. Let's see. AOC battled through college and progressed every year. He will do it in the NFL with AP. And that's exactly what we're asking of him, right? It's like keep stepping your game up, keep fighting for it. And honestly, like I think that he could definitely take us to at least a playoff win. I do. I don't think that Aiden O'Connell's ever going to be a top 10 quarterback. I really don't. But we might not need that. We might, if he hits that mid tier, maybe ranking somewhere like a 15, 15 to 20, even like in that range. Like if he's a number 16, 17 quarterback, but he's not making dumb mistakes, he's not turning the ball over, and he's doing decent in the red zone, our defense is going to show up, man. Aiden O'Connell doesn't need to be a Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't need to be a Justin Herbert for us to win. I mean, look at the Chargers with Justin Herbert, and they're not winning, So, yeah, Trevor Lawrence started off badly, and people are still kind of not sure about him. Minshew has better stats than Lawrence, which is crazy. Raider Nation, listen, let Aiden do his thing. By week 4, he will have ground on you. Yeah, and that's the thing, man, is that if Aiden O'Connell, I think he's going to be the starter, right? And if by week 4, if he's messing up bad, bench him. Bring in Gardner Minshew, and we'll start looking at who we're going to try to draft next year, I mean, but I think that we got to see what we got. I don't think that Gardner Minshew is going to come in and pull Rich Gannon and have an MVP season as a journeyman. I don't see that happening. I do like Minshew, but I think we already know what we have with Minshew, and I think that we need to. I think we need to see what Aiden O'Connell, what his ceiling can actually look like. I say by week 2. I think that at least by the 4th game, because like 2 games, I mean, let's see, Chargers and Ravens. It could be that Khalil Mack gets to him again. I don't know. The last time that Aiden O'Connell played against the Chargers, he threw 4 touchdowns. We scored 63 points. And he didn't even say on the Rush podcast, he didn't even say that was his favorite game. He said his favorite game was against the Chiefs on Christmas, which is wild. And he was like, yeah, I didn't complete a pass for 3 quarters, but he's like, yeah, that was the one, which is amazing because he wants to see the team succeed, not just see himself succeed. Right. But, that Chargers game, man, if he could show up anything like that quarterback, at least most of the time, like he showed out that game for sure. Let's see. Yeah, with Taylor, Palomau, Smith, Epps better bust ass in 24. Yeah, he needs to show up if he wants to stay on this team. Maybe he's not that interested. I think he probably is. And I'd like to see, us be in a position where we get Epps for another couple of years and let Taylor and Palomau have another season or 2 to sit and just kind of develop. That way, when we bust them out, they are fully ready, because those guys they're dogs, man. They're good players. Let's see. I'm going to try to jump ahead a little bit because I'm way too far behind. Yes, we do have a loaded DB room, and that's great, and we did have that signing of a wide receiver. What's his name? Alex Bachman. We pulled in Alex Bachman. He really, I put out a short about it, but he's not going to make this roster, unless it's only for special teams, because he did have some good special teams numbers. He had 4 kick returns with the Giants in 2021 for 94 yards and then 1 punt return for 16. So like he did show out pretty good there. There was some speculation going around on social media where people were saying, oh, now our roster is full. We can't sign anymore. We're not getting a corner. I don't think that's entirely true because I think post June 1st, I think that they're still going to be looking adding a corner, and we could just cut another player. Cut a player, add a corner. Unless they're sold on Jacorian Bennett. Could be at Bennett or what's his name? Decameron Richardson, the rookie. I could see one of those guys, end up winning that starting job, but I'd still love to see us get like a, Xavier Howard, maybe a Dory Jackson, one of these guys, man. I would love to see that, but I don't think that we absolutely need it. But if you can get it, then why not, right? Why not? Give Jacorian Bennett one more year to kind of, get a couple of snaps, but not go in as cornerback one or anything like that, Let's see. You had COVID for 3 days, man. Don't let me find out, dude. I've been in contact with you. Oh, man. Well, I mean, I don't know if you're talking about what you miss in the Raiders world or what you missed at work, man. There's both places are quiet and rowdy at the same time. That's all I can say, man. I hope you're feeling better, man. I saw AOC isn't aware of Gannon, apparently. Yeah. And I don't think he's too worried about that as much as Derek Carr is just a little bit too recent. So that whole thing of Aiden O'Connell moving to number 12 from number 4, and he said that it felt disrespectful to Derek Carr. It was. Somebody took a shot at Derek Carr on that, and it was they put Aiden O'Connell in this nasty position just all the way across the board. But I like the fact that he moved to number 12, and he was asked on the Rush podcast, like, was that about Tom Brady? And he said no, but I think it's because of the comparisons with him and Tom Brady, but he did say that Tom Brady was his favorite player growing up, and so yeah, I don't see why he wouldn't wear 12. Yeah, they said that actually that he was originally number 9, but then Tyree Wilson took number 9, and since he was the first round pick that year, that they gave it to him. So he ended up with number 4. I have faith in my Raiders. At least we will be better than Dallas. Dallas has been I like to call them America's most moderate team, right? Because they're never just this awful losing team, but they also, it's been a long time since they've really gone anywhere. So they're always in the playoffs, but that's about it, And I would love to see us go further in the playoffs than Dallas. I saw they got Zeke back, which I think is hilarious. Zeke definitely messed up the whole market for running backs. I blame him. Okay, Madison is 5'11", 215, which is funny to me because when there was all the talks about Jaden Daniels and they're like, oh, he's too skinny, and he's 210 pounds. So I don't know, man, but you could have a running back that's 215 and he's not considered too skinny. So it's just weird. And I know he's got a lot more muscle than Jaden Daniels. So, that's not really what I'm saying, but yeah, it's kind of weird to me, man. Let me see. Yeah, Michael, I do believe AOC will be QB1. Let's see. If we have a top 10 defense, Chris, and top 15 to 20 offense, we're winning a lot of games. And that's exactly it, man. I don't think our offense has to hit a top 10, and I don't think that they will. But we got good players, and as long as we're not turning the ball over and making really bad mistakes, yeah, this defense right now we're ranked post-draft as number 8. And if that ends up being where we're at, if we're somewhere in the top 10, I'll be super happy. And as long as our offense is mid, right, 15 to 20, I would love that. I would be so happy. Let's see. Plunkett bust in New England. San Francisco grabs him, and then Al Davis grabbed him, and he won 2 Super Bowls. Just saying, I think AOC can come close to Plunkett's style. Hey, man, that would be amazing, And honestly, that's the argument that people have for Gardner Minshew too, right? Is that we have players like that just really have looked like a bust elsewhere, and then they move to a good fit, and then all of a sudden they just show out, and so we'll see what that looks like for either of these quarterbacks. I think we'll stay with Aiden O'Connell. We do not need little CBs anymore. I know, man. I mean, Amik Robertson, I was sad to see him go just because he's a dog, but he'd always do that thing where he'd give up this huge play and then he'd make a huge play, but he was a dog, man. I really liked him a lot, but he was tiny, man. I mean, honestly, he's actually like my height. He was 5'8". I'm 5'7". I'm a short dude, and that was like in high school sports was a problem for me, so you're talking about professional level to be 5'8". It's problematic, man. He had hops for sure. Jacorian Bennett will win the outside cornerback 2 job, and there's some speculation about Jack Jones being the CB1, which I'm not against. I think that he could take on that role. I would love to see Jack Jones be a CB2. I would absolutely love that. I want him to be the one that's, on that secondary wide receiver, that wide receiver 2. I want to see him being able to get more picks instead of just having to try to lock people down. So I would love if we could have a corner that ends up winning that cornerback 1 spot and have Jack Jones CB2. But, you could be right. Jacorian might be that CB2, which, I can't be mad at that either. I like Jacorian Bennett, and I have a lot of faith that he's going to show up. History. Thank God for Amy Trask. She saved the Raider organization from being sold by Al so Mark could inherit the team. Amen. 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 Amy. There we go. So, we're coming up on an hour, guys. I'm at my mother-in-law's. We're here for my wife's birthday thing, so I should really wrap it up, man. I've been jumping around all over the place with different times to schedule for the TGI Raiders Friday Live. Let me see what's next Friday, man. I gotta look at this. I think I can do the 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, which would be 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 o'clock Pacific. So I'm going to shoot for that. I'll do the same thing that I've been doing where I put it up like the night before. That way you guys can see that I'm scheduled for that time, if you guys even see that. But yeah, I'm going to shoot for right about the middle of the day. I hope you guys can rock with me. It's been a great live today, man. I'm glad things worked out. Trying to do it in a different house is a weird thing, man. I appreciate you guys for showing up for me, and I'll catch you guys soon.